Hello all, I'm Catherine Cassells, though I was Catherine Mason when I attended Robert Clack many years ago. I was at Robert Clack from 2000 to 2007. It will come as no surprise to any of you when you watch this video that I didn't study film studies or media studies. When I left Robert Clack, I read history at Cambridge and then I went to Queen Mary, University of London, where I converted to law as a postgraduate. I then trained as a barrister and I was called to the bar in 2013. I later qualified as a solicitor in 2017 and I now specialise in private family law at a firm in London. 16 years ago, I was sat where you are today. The career I have described to you was a distant dream. I had always wanted to go to Cambridge and to be a lawyer, even before I watched Legally Blonde. But it hasn't come easy. I have faced many challenges throughout my career, and although I am speaking to you as a part of International Women's Day, the challenges I have faced have not just been limited to my gender. There is one motto that has guided me throughout, our school motto, Forte, difficile, nihil. For the brave, nothing is difficult. That motto has seen me not only through my school days, but it has helped me in working life too. I dreamed of going to Cambridge. Back in 2007, I was the only student in my year group to get a place at Oxbridge. I worked incredibly hard to get there. And when I got to Cambridge, I thought the hard work was over. How wrong I was. Still, the challenges came. Being brutally honest, the challenges I faced at university were more related to where I came from than my gender. I was told in my second week that if I wanted to get anywhere, I needed to drop the Dagenham accent. That's partly why I no longer sound as though I grew up on Green Lane, across the road from the lower site. I found it quite hard to fit in at university, but once I found my feet, I formed lifelong friendships and I soon found my way. I have learned that you can challenge in lots of different ways. You can choose to challenge by proving people wrong. A little over 100 years ago, women couldn't be lawyers in this country. That all changed when in 1919 a law was passed which permitted women to practice law. Now progress has been made, and in 2018 63% of newly qualified solicitors were women. And I am one of those women, and not because I changed the way I speak. Years ago, a group of women in Dagenham Ford went on strike. They refused to work. Those women were brave. They chose to challenge pay inequality, and their action ultimately led to the Equal Pay Act. That's another way to choose to challenge. You are a generation of students grown up in the Me Too movement, which gained huge momentum when women in Hollywood said enough was enough and spoke out against Harvey Weinstein. #MeToo took the internet by storm. Speaking out in solidarity, another way to choose to challenge. Change doesn't come overnight. It may take many more years for equality to come about, and many of you may encounter inequality, be that gender or otherwise. You may encounter prejudice because of the sound of your voice, or because of where you grew up. Let nothing stand in your way. Each and every one of you in this room has the opportunity and power to bring about change. You can choose to challenge inequality by believing in yourself. Have courage and conviction. Prove anyone who tells you you can't that you can. And when you choose to challenge, remember, Forte, difficile, nihil. For the brave, nothing is difficult. Thank you. Happy International Women's Day.
Hi everyone, my name is Martina Ukite and I used to go to Robert Clack School. I left about 15 years ago, so quite some time ago, but I've kept a keen eye on what the school is up to. So when the school reached out to me to put together a short speech about International Women's Day and female empowerment, I was really excited because it's something that I feel very passionately and strongly about. That probably stems back from listening to Destiny's Child in their early days and worshipping at the altar of Beyonce, as well as I'm currently working in the banking industry, which is unsurprisingly very male dominated. It's been a male-dominated industry historically, and it hasn't changed too much. My bank is 250 years old, and although there are many initiatives to kind of promote females in a workplace and diversify the workforce, it's still very much a male-dominated field, in particular on a trading floor where I'm working right now. So sort of female empowerment and women in the workforce is something that's really important to me, and something that I deal with in every single day. On my current trading desk, there are 8 of us, and only 2 of us are female, so that makes up the female workforce of my team just 25%. It can be pretty intimidating when you first start in a trading room, when you look around and it's just all guys. And so while there is a lot of momentum in the whole industry to change the way that the workforce is, the day-to-day can be very, very different. And there's still definitely, even to this day, kind of passive-aggressive sexism that I've experienced and my fellow co-workers who are female have experienced. Because some of the older traders, for example, aren't so positive to change and things changing around. So there's definitely kind of, run-ins on a day-to-day basis, which can make things a lot harder. Challenging the norms is quite difficult in a corporate environment, especially in my bank, which, like I said, is 250 years old. So there is some institutional biases that are quite hard to overcome, and challenging them in itself can be quite challenging. For me, I think I am a huge fan of Michelle Obama, and one of her famous quotes is, "When they go low, we go high." She said that while she was speaking about bullies who were targeting Hillary Clinton in her bid for the White House in 2016, and that really resonated with me. I think, being a female in a working environment, especially a trading floor, which is so type A, aggressive and quite male dominated, is difficult, and you find yourself having to work twice as hard as some of your male counterparts, for example. But the whole "when they go low, we go high" thing, I think really resonated with me, just because there's ways to disrupt things, and there's more subtle ways to disrupt things. And so for me, I've taken the approach of working significantly harder and trying to rise to the top and thrive in the environment, as opposed to kind of fight it too much. And what I mean by that is, I started my career in banking about 10 years ago. I now run one of the biggest books in London for sterling government bonds. My colleague, who is also a female, runs a very big book herself. So between us, we manage about 100 billion sterling for the bank, which is over 50% of flow that my desk does. So I think it's just a case of, working harder, proving that you're equally as good, if not better, at what you do, and kind of challenging the norms in those ways. Highlighting how capable and talented female workers can be and what a great asset they can be, I think is a great way to go. Hopefully that kind of gives you some insight. I would say do not be deterred by industries that are male dominated. Things are changing, and hopefully by the time you guys hit the workforce, things will be even more progressive and more inclusive. Just be prepared to maybe work a little bit harder than some of your co-workers from time to time, but definitely don't be put off by the challenges that you might face. It's just an opportunity for you to rise and elevate yourself, which is only going to pay dividends further down your career. Cool. Good luck.
Hi, my name is Jill and I work for West Ham United Foundation. I think it's amazing that this year's theme for International Women's Day is Choose to Challenge. The football and sport industry can be really male dominated at times, and it's important that we challenge these inequalities and gender stereotypes, as well as recognizing and celebrating our achievements. Thanks.
My name is Alison Berner and I'm a cancer doctor. I'm also a specialist in gender identity and working to improve the cancer care for people who are transgender and non-binary. For that reason, I think a lot about how we can live in a gender equal world and how we can challenge our own biases and those of others. It's important to surround ourselves with diversity, as it's hard to imagine the lived experience of others and the inequalities that they might be facing if we don't ask. Celebrate the activism and achievements of others and hand the mic to them whenever you can. Living in a world that's gender-free doesn't mean ignoring our feminine glory or the specific barriers that we face. It means being the best ally that we can to all minority groups and beating down stereotypes whenever we see them. Lastly, a few words of wisdom from the book How Women Rise. Don't people please, don't minimise yourself, and don't be a perfectionist. Just go for it. And when you get there, claim your accomplishments. Happy International Women's Day.
Hello fellow students at Robert Clark School, my name's Rachel Flack and I used to attend between the years of 2002 to 2007 and stayed on for sixth form until 2009 as well. I currently work for the London Ambulance Service as an ambulance technician and also in further education to become a radiographer specialising in oncology, the treatment of cancer. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about equality in the workplace, and at the moment we currently have around 50% of the workforce being women, and going back around 30 years or so it very much was male dominated, around 80 to 85%, which is very, very high, and it just shows how far we've come as women in developing opportunities and entering into roles which may be challenging but also we have done very, very well at. And it's in light of International Women's Day and where we need to challenge ourselves and how the workplace is ever changing, and this is where we basically look to you all. We will always have opportunities that will knock at our door, but it's how we answer that door is where we make a difference, and you are going to be making that difference. So all I can say is make that difference and make it count. All right, bye.
Hi guys, happy International Women's Day. My name is Amanda and I'm a MyProtein athlete. I'm here to share with you some of the challenges surrounding gender stereotyping. I mean, I know a lot of women have been faced with this issue in the past, and it's still an issue that's quite prevalent within society today. And you know what's really interesting, because the fitness industry, this is mind-blowing. It has actually blown drastically over the past few years, and actually, when I think back to 6 years ago, I actually wrote a dissertation on this matter. So if you want to call it that I predicted it, I called it. I called it all those years ago about how gender stereotypes affected female involvement lifting weights in a gym environment. And you know, because I felt at the time, and even now, I still feel very strongly about this. And you know, I just knew that at the time, I know most certainly now, that many women are still feeling uncomfortable going into the gym, especially in the weight section, because they just don't want to be around the men. And I get it. I do get it. I understand it and I can empathise. I don't feel like that, but that's only because of the journey that I have had. However, a lot of my friends do feel like that. And so, of course, if that's the type of feedback that I'm getting from women that are going into these male dominated spaces, of course you're going to want to, you know, stand up for these women and do something about it. And I mean, for me, I do it because I feel like I'm representing all of those women who have ever doubted themselves, ever felt that they're not good enough, felt that they've looked a certain way. Because for me, with my training, I don't care if my lashes are everywhere. I don't care if I you know, I don't wear makeup when I'm training. That's not the reason I'm doing it. And yeah, I do feel as though social media does portray this image that you're supposed to look cute when you're working out, and it just seems cemented, like the pressures, the unrealistic body goals. I mean, it never used to be like this. I never ever once have ever put anything out on a post talking about how my body looks. It should be about how your body feels. It should be about your health. We should actually be celebrating, you know, what our bodies can do. We should be looking at each other as, you know, motivation, not for, oh yeah, I really want a huge bum, or, you know, I want my abs to be popping like a speed bump, or, you know, it's just the number one thing should be your health. That should be the priority. The priority should be you wanting to make yourself a better version of yourself. That's just it. And I suppose for me, the reason why I'm so passionate and in love with what it is that I do is because I've been doing it for so long before it was worth anything, or before people started to see the importance of health and fitness, or even, you know, simply people just jumping on the bandwagon because so-and-so does fitness, so, oh, I'm going to do fitness as well. I mean, before the industry blew, I'd already conducted years of research. And during my training sessions, I'd have guys looking over at me, oh, why is she training? Why is she in the weight section? Why is she so strong? And so it was really mind-blowing, the lack of knowledge from some of these people, thinking that, she's mannish because she's lifting heavy weights, or I feel too intimidated, I'm not going to talk to her, or just things like that. People prejudging you based on your physique or how you look, and yeah, it just wasn't very nice. Now, within the gym setting, I do believe that, women lifting weights is seen as, it's a cool thing to do now. But obviously back then, for me, it was just like, whoa, what is going on? And people would look at me, including my own friends, and say, oh, your arms are getting a bit too big, aren't they? And, for me, that was really quite, it actually didn't disturb me one bit. I didn't really care. I was fine. But I'm quite thick-skinned, so that's the reason why I was just like, well, this is me, this is take it or leave it kind of thing. But I'm just so glad that I blocked that out and I continued on my fitness journey, because now that's what people want. Now people want to have the toned arms that actually I was getting slated about back in the day. And everything happens for a reason, but I'm just so happy that women are finally taking ownership and kind of realizing that we too can achieve greatness. And it's, it's not been an easy ride, to say the least. Nothing ever is. And it's actually much sweeter when it's not an easy ride, when you do achieve it. So, the most important thing I think from all of this is that, we fought this far to get this day, and we should just continue to uplift, celebrate each other, and, support each other.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Melissa Pepper and I was a student at Robert Clack between 1991 and 1998. On this International Women's Day 2021, I choose to challenge the criminal justice system. Our criminal justice system is designed by men and it's designed for men, and it's still predominantly delivered by men. Less than 30% of police officers and prison officers are female, and this proportion is even smaller when you get to senior leadership positions. Furthermore, women suffer some of the worst harms in the criminal justice system. Women in prison are more likely to self-harm than men. They're more likely to have been victims themselves as well as offenders, and over half have experienced domestic abuse or childhood trauma. Many have dependent children who they're no longer able to care for. So I will help to forge a gender equal world through my role as a lecturer in criminology at the University of Greenwich. Many of my female students want a career in the criminal justice system, and I commit to helping them develop as critical and compassionate thinking criminal justice professionals in training. So they can take these skills out into the police service, the prison service, or the probation service, or the range of charities that support those affected by crime as victims, offenders, and their families. And I hope by doing this that I can help my students work towards creating a fairer justice system for everybody, particularly women who suffer most by the harm that it causes. I know my students can go out and do this, and that they can help to change the world through their work for the better. And I know that you all can too. So happy International Women's Day, everybody.